soy indio, no debo de saberlo. Pasé a mi tierra.
All right.
Oh yeah. Coming to you live. Wait, what?
Woo! Are we live?
Yeah, see? That was beautiful,
Hey!
Jose. Beautifully timed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
On your A game, as per usual.
Hello and welcome to It's Happening Show, community grassroots media for the people by the people. I'm Jose Gloria.
And I'm Dylan Thompson. We are your hosts tonight.
We are your hosts indeed.
Indeedly do.
Woo-woo-woo.
Ow!
Happening is a movement of the heart and of the mind. It's the energy of the universe that creates waves inside us and all around us, which allows us to activate, motivate, and elevate vibrationally and intellectually towards love, truth, justice, and wisdom. It's happening in every which way.
It's Happening is a culture of empowerment. It's people having the right to exist and participate as equals. It's a dream of what the world could be, but the future we want is only possible if we make it happen. So stand up, get informed, and fight back.
Fight.
Yeah.
You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, so we thank you because of you.
It's happening. Woo! Man.
All right. Got a little echo in my sound, but it's all right. We're
making it happen.
Making it happen. Irregardless, baby.
Irregardless, even.
Coronavirus and all.
Yeah. Forget about it. I was hoping you wouldn't say that right off the bat, just because we're trying to make this not the fourth coronavirus show.
I know. I'm trying desperately to be about something better, like peace.
Yeah, peace and love. But unfortunately, they have pushed back the timeline. Apparently in LA, at least to the middle of May. So the trend may follow in nearby counties such as ours.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's going to be an issue with the states and the federal government fighting about what is going to be happening, with, like different things that are going to come out through it. So unfortunately, I cannot stop watching it. It's like watching a slow moving, train about to derail. But there are some good news, light at the end of the tunnel, situations that are happening, but are we ready to open up the whole country? That is yet to be determined.
We will see.
How are you doing, buddy? Have you developed a new thing today to do?
We have new technology on the show. It has been newly developed based on the current situation.
I know.
It is being implemented this episode to the pleasure of our entire listenership.
Woo!
Okay?
Woo! All 5 of them.
Yeah, Zoom. So we can be some of the people eating up on all the bandwidth on needless HD video streaming. Does anyone really need to see me?
Yes.
This nasally voice is all they need.
Yeah. So we're gonna have all sorts of interesting conversations, to say the least. We're gonna have Councilwoman Cecilia Iglesias joining us in a bit. So we'll be talking to her about the recall effort and all things Santana politics. So
indeed, should be great.
Invite folks, spread the word because it's happening. Yeah,
to the fullest,
man. But you know what's not happening, unfortunately.
Oh no.
It's the Bernie campaign.
Yeah. It happened. It happened.
It happened. He has officially pulled the plug, suspended his campaign, and now I'm out of the job. Yeah.
Man. Oh, man. It's bitter.
Bernie!
Why, Bernie? Yeah, it kind of hurt. But, I mean, even, way back, the struggle continues regardless of who is president, right? So even if Bernie wanted Medicare for all, right, he can't do that on his own, right? It would have taken an entire movement to push the different legislation he wanted, right? You need to capture the legislature. So the fight continues.
It absolutely does. Mm-hmm. And the movement is not dead, and people are, right now coming out really, upset and angry at his choice. And it's like, have you not heard him for the past several months? He said that he was going to endorse whoever the nominee was. We can have a debate about whether or not it was too soon or not. But the fact of the matter is, like, when you're trying to organize a grassroots movement in the middle of a pandemic, like, that just really cuts, the wind from your sails. Just, takes the knees from under you. Can't have rallies, can't do door-to-door, canvassing. People are scared right now. Last thing that they want to do is, so I think if, different circumstances would perhaps have had for different, results. Perhaps, if the New York primary wouldn't have been moved from April 28th, and perhaps it would have been, at the very least, gone all the way till then, and seeing how that turned out. But, so, but delegates are still going to be counted up. He's going to appear on the ballot in many states. And although I myself have been in a pool of misery and self-loathing and existential crisis,
the usual leftist suffering. Yeah.
A lot of thinking, a lot of sleeping in, a lot of trying to figure out what to do next with my life. Ugly crying, some healing.
Yes, a sprinkling of healing, luckily. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, there you go. No, you healed more than that, man.
I feel like my girlfriend broke up with me, sold all my lions, and started dating that witch Carol Baskins. So, hashtag I'm
You just watch.
Exotic, folks. Don't get it twisted. Hashtag I'm with Joe Exotic.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that may be the most controversial thing said on the show today. We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, Bernie dropped out and has endorsed Biden. But a lot of good things have come out of this campaign, and a lot of more things are to be had. But change isn't easy; it takes time. People are going to be like, "Oh, let's go join a third party, Green Party. Let's just completely tune out, f all of this." There's going to be people that be like, "All right, well, let's do issue-oriented Medicare for all, climate change, sunshine movement." So folks are going to find their place, but the movement is far from over. Right?
Indeed, it's a never-ending battle. But yeah, still, I mean. I don't. Why should anyone be surprised that Bernie didn't take the Green Party's nomination and ran as a third party, or he didn't go to some insurgent independent campaign or something? Yeah, he was going to do that. He said it from the very beginning. So I mean, this is like a replay of last time. I mean, he at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, he's the most left guy in the party, but he's in the party still, and I mean. Sadly, I think we're seeing a lot of that's the downside of this tribalism. That's why I wish we weren't stuck in this system of you just have to swear eternal loyalty to whatever party you're in, and then you just never talk shit on anyone in there. And then even when they're just egregiously horrible, you got to break out of this,
Yeah, too true. So it's hard. It's very difficult. Some will say dem enter, some will say dem exit, but I'd say to hell with dem all. Woo!
Ow, going crazy. What about your peace sign? Just say, come on, embrace. Can you bring it back though? But can you bring it back?
Bernie or vests. That's it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing. Hashtag.
Okay. Well, maybe 4 years he'll run. They'll just invent eternal life.
In the meantime, we got our work cut out for us to make sure that we have a Congress that is more progressive and local council races that are less in the pockets of special interest and more supportive of the people, right?
Timely suggestion, Jose.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's go on to the next story about California.
Or what? Well, apparently Gavin Newsom declared California its own nation state with regard to coronavirus policy. What does that mean? Did we secede?
It's Tupac's greatest dream. West Coast.
Yeah,
Washington,
I heard
Oregon.
The bill was
California.
Yeah, it was dedicated to Tupac. Apparently, that's fake news. But,
nation state.
But right, so this is just California trying to diverge from Trump with regard to coronavirus policy, right?
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But this is definitely rearing itself up to be a a substantial fight between voter suppression efforts and states' rights versus federal rights when it comes to, can the president force every state to open up their states again? Can he force them to change their efforts to get out the vote through vote by mail, policies or legislation? A lot of stuff like that.
Wait, so are you telling me a Democratic governor is advocating for states' rights against the Republican president?
What's it, like tipsy topsy world?
It is a beautiful world that we live in. A confusing one.
It is.
Yes, but here it is. Here it is.
Here it is.
Yeah, speaking of, apparently there's been several sexual assault claims coming out against Joe Biden. One more recently coming from a former Senate staffer. So, I get confused when this happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like, and yeah, it is interesting because I feel like the people who have been immune to any of this stuff are maybe it's just the people who are in the leads of either party. You know what I'm saying? Like, because is this going to take? I don't think this is going to take him down, right? Like you had like much less on other politicians, and they were wiped out. And,
yeah, Al Franken comes to mind.
Right. With his inappropriate humor and all that, right? His actions, right? And this is like a claim of outright sexual assault. That frankly, I don't see this going anywhere because I don't really see a lot of our usual people on the left criticizing this, or like the typical Me Too thing. Because it's interesting that the Democratic Party really got involved in like the Me Too stuff. And now it's almost like there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, this is definitely like an interesting line that the Democrats are kind of walking when it comes to holding people like Kavanaugh accountable, and then when it doesn't fall in line with what the narrative that they want to double down on, then that's when it kind of doesn't. They kind of turn a blind eye to it. I don't know. It's challenging to say the least, but people are going to make up their own decisions and their own choices about how issues that are really important, like many that were brought up by the movement, Me Too and Time's Up and so on, does about when it gets politicized, in the sense where it's like, is it really about the issue that happened, or is it really about derailing this person's political career? So yeah, should Joe Biden face those tough questions about it? I'm sure when it gets to the debates, those things are going to come up because, and that's the thing, like it kind of neutralizes his effort to try to paint Trump in a certain type of way when he himself is kind of facing similar, allegations. So more to be seen on that, but the amount of hush and just like nothing to see here that's been done around this has been. Yeah.
There's been some conspicuous omissions by certain people. Let's say that. Yeah.
A good news, though, is scientists are creating a mutant enzyme that recycles plastic bottles in hours. Yay! Go science!
Yeah, science. As long as it doesn't take over, I'm willing to. We could keep using science for good, for once.
Yeah. So according to Guardian.com, a mutant bacterial enzyme breaks down plastic bottles for recycling in hours, has been created by scientists. So this is originally discovered in a compost heap of leaves. It has reduced the bottles to chemical building blocks that were and used to make high quality new bottles. So there is some hope as far as getting rid of all this plastic that's in the world. We have islands of plastic. We can debate about whether or not climate change is real. We cannot debate about whether or not our plastic use, whether it's plastic bags or our bottles, are creating oceans as big as Texas in the middle of the ocean. What that doing once it breaks down and gets infused into the wildlife and fish and things that we eat, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's very problematic, but there's all sorts of stuff, including like I think a teenager came up with a net that on its own collects different plastic and trash from the ocean. So very cool.
Yeah, I think actually the reason everyone's cool with most of the environmental problems is because I think there's a deep set subconscious belief that a 14-year-old, either Mexican or Swedish child will invent some miracle technology that will save humanity.
Swedish child.
Yeah. So either Mexican or some Nordic country, because they've great engineering programs.
Right. No, Mexico has really good they
have some crazy
scientists.
Robots.
Yeah. No, they've won awards nationally.
That's why we'll be okay.
Internationally. Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna solve our problems. Us, foreigners.
So that's good. Making progress. No, but I just want to point out, the guy who thought of the dump, they never thought about when's too much. You know what I mean?
Mm.
When is everything just a dump now? The entire ocean is a dump, it seems. So were we ever gonna deal with that? I mean, what are dumps anyway? It's just this is all this permanently transformed crap. Well, let's just put it in this hole over here.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Where's Scott? We need Scott not on.
I mean, I think we talked about it previously. How I was watching this documentary about, how China has stopped taking our trash. So we have a crisis where it's who will take our trash so that they can burn it and figure out bury it, figure out what to do with it. Now we don't know what to do with ours, even recyclable stuff. Yeah. Nobody's buying our recyclables, our trash.
Hold on. Note to self: invite Scott Celtic Knock on the show to talk about dumps. End of memo. Yeah, that's a good idea. We got to do that now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's good. Progress.
Okay, and our last story.
Last story.
Good segue for our guest.
Oh yeah. Apparently, Supreme Dictator Gavin Newsom has ordered that Santa Ana's special election, deciding the fate of Councilwoman Cecilia Iglesias' seat, will happen entirely through mail-in ballots to abide by public health guidelines during the coronavirus emergency.
Yeah. According to Voice of OC, that's right.
Yes, indeed, according to Voice of OC.
So that's go ahead.
This is part of his cessation order from apparently. But I mean, this was kind of expected to happen, and it'll be curious to see what it does to our election. It is good that the Santa Ana, the OC Registrar of Voters, right, has already prepared massively to handle mail-in ballots, right? So looks like we have the infrastructure. It shouldn't be too big of a problem. So I'm glad they really took forward action in changing how it all works, and I'm glad we had them on that other time. But go ahead.
Right. So yeah, voters in Santa Ana election will be have between May 9th and May 19th to cast their ballots, deciding whether Iglesias should be unseated, and if so, which of the three candidates running to replace her should take it. And this all apparently is going to challenge the issues of voting in the future. I mean, already vote by mails across the county absolutely helped a lot of people to get out to vote for the first time, making it as easy as possible. But it will be determined who this benefits, I guess, in this election.
Big time.
Orange County Registrar of Voters, Neil Kelly, said he requested that Governor Newsom issue the order in Santa Ana. This is in line with current public health orders and mirrors what we did in Westminster. Conducting the election in this manner will ensure that voters remain safe and allow them to cast their ballot at home. Yeah, that is coming. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce time out.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Councilwoman Cecilia Iglesias. Cecilia Iglesias also goes by Ceci, as I've heard, is originally from El Salvador and immigrated to Santa Ana in 1979 when she attended Santa Ana Public Schools. Got a BA in Human Services at Cal State Fullerton and a Master's in Public Administration from Grand Canyon University. Cecilia was a member of the Santa Ana Unified School District Board from November 2012 to December 2018 and was currently serves on the Santa Ana City Council. Welcome to the show, Councilwoman. Thank you for having the courage to be on.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored to be on your show, and it's an opportunity for me to be able to speak with you and see how we can work together on some issues that we all agree on.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. You are a controversial figure, to say the least, and there's different people have all sorts of opinion, as I've found in doing public work, or people serving in public office. It's just a matter of like, how many opinions are you willing to get thrown at you, and how can you decipher which ones matter, which ones which don't matter, I guess. And so that is one thing that I've realized it. But I'm here to have a conversation, and I'm here to to hear your side, and you'll hear my side, and we'll agree on some things, we'll disagree strongly on others. But I think it's very important that we have a dialogue with people that we disagree with, to figure out what, if any, ways we can work together, and if not, then understand and be clear about our disagreements. Right?
Yeah, and I've always thought of, and as long as we always do it respectfully, I believe it's always an opportunity for us to have that dialogue, like you're saying. So definitely. Absolutely.
So let's get straight into the recall efforts. So I drove by 4th and Graham today, and I saw big old signs with behind you, no recall to Councilmember Cecilia Iglesias, and then yes, recall to Cecilia Iglesias. Real big signs too. Those cost money. So who is funding the recall efforts against you? So we'll start with that.
Against me, definitely. It's something that's already documented. It's the police union. And basically, it's Jerry Serrano. He's the president or the boss of the police association. So he's the one behind this. He spent already $301,000 just gathering the signatures. So this special election can be called on May 19th. And he's already put in $45,000 in addition, so he can start the campaign against me. So it's about $346,000, and it's all on from the union, from the police union. And unfortunately, it's from our taxpayers' money, because the way they get funded is they get the officers to donate some of their time to the association, and that's how they get their coffers up and their war chest to go against individuals that they don't agree with.
Yeah, and so this petition for recall was circulated. It is actually kind of this like laundry list of different complaints. Like, I don't know if the public has had a chance to see it or if they know what it contains, but very little of it pertains to stuff about the police. And it is also signed by 20 proponents. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about this petition, or like what you think about?
Well, they needed 20 proponents in order for them to start circulating the petition. And I had an opportunity to speak to 11 of those proponents, and they signed an affidavit for me stating that they were lied to, because what they were telling them is, one specific, I remember in one of the neighborhoods that they were telling me, the person that came to my door, they were asking me for a signature that they wanted to build a church, renovate the church that's right next to us. And then so they needed the permission of the neighborhood in order for them to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of those individuals that were approached were Spanish speaking, voters. So they were misinformed and they were lied to. So they were comfortable in signing an affidavit for me. And that's those 11 affidavits that I sent them to the DA. So the DA has them in their hands, because it's something that they didn't really take I would say a stand on it then, but it's an ongoing investigation. And if it comes through that that they were lied to and this whole process was just something that was untruthful, then it's going to be interesting. And the one that was backing them up was Mark Rosen. He is the attorney for the police association. So he's the one that was representing them. So he's the one that put the petition together. So from the beginning, it's them. It's the the police union putting together, trying to get those those individuals to sign to sign the stipulation documents, and then that's when it got started. And they started back in May of last year, so I had barely been in office for 6 months, but it was based on the vote that I made, as you may recall, in May, which was against the $25 million raise for the police department. Not that because I don't think that they deserve it. It's during a time that I know we can't afford it. And so they came after me. They came after Juan, Councilmember Villegas, but they saw that it was going to be too expensive, so they pretty much just went after me. And as you know, and as you can see, I mean, the result was that they were able to gather those signatures, and now I'm on the ballot. But it's the police union trying to quiet the voice that pretty much won't that won't back down. They'll be standing up to them. And one thing that really was troubling is that I tried, as you may know, I put an item on the agenda for the city council, which was to have a police oversight committee. And unfortunately, that didn't go. And I know the more things that I bring up that really questions the validity of having true oversight of what's happening at City Hall, the more I get attacked, not just by by the union, but also by my colleagues. So it's just interesting. It's interesting times.
Yeah, I will say that I am no fan of the POA personally. So and their influence on Santa Ana politics for years. I would say that since the whole Chief Walters situation, they have been on the defensive. Firing of Rojas previously, to you getting on council, they've been trying really hard to get back that influence that they had for years with the city, the police chief being both the city manager and the amount of influence that they had over the budgeting. So 300,000 to try to oust somebody that's standing up to them doesn't seem, sounds like a drop in the bucket compared to the millions that they could reap, if these things were to be approved. But having said that, I remember when Josh Newman ran, and there was a big concerted effort by Republicans to, basically fool and trick people to voting. So this is not exclusive to the POA or to Santana. I think voter misinformation when it comes to recall efforts in signature gathering is pervasive. But I think, but one of the things that is, that if you go down the list of the things that they're saying, besides obviously mentioning, in passing the police defunding, was also issues about not condemning President Trump's cruel deportation policy towards immigrants, advocating for charter schools as a SAUSD trustee, and so on, and separating children and families through the border and security. So these are issues that matter strongly to Santana residents, Ms. Iglesias. So I definitely think that even just mentioning one of those things would be enough to have somebody say, no, that doesn't represent what my family or my community wants.
Yeah, but the thing is, those are not my positions. And I think they just pretty much use what, like you were saying, exactly what individuals in our community have a heart for. And those are the same things that I've advocated. What, the way they put it there is like, I advocated for charter schools. I advocate for parents' choice. I believe parents have a choice to choose where they want to send their kids. Charter schools are public schools, so I defend public schools, regardless of the way that the child's going to receive that education, because they know we have the district schools, which are public schools, but we also have charter schools that are public schools, and there's a lot of parents in our community that have been able to make this choice for their kids. So it's giving the people the choice to, the parents the choice to send their child where they choose fit that has the best education for their child.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into the issue of charter schools, because, as you mentioned, and you've been a strong advocate for them, but, previous to being in council, you were a school board member at the Santa Ana Unified School District, high school district. Many teachers and students and community members felt that your stances on issues pertaining to LGBT rights and sex education and public school funding were disrespectful and wrong. I mean, and many asked you to apologize. Is that something that you didn't feel the need to apologize or still don't at this point.
Okay, but what exactly is the question?
Yeah, around your stances against public ed, sex ed in public schools, and other type of disrespectful or problematic comments that you've made about Valley High School or other the just public school teachers in general and such.
Well, a lot of I believe a lot of my comments just are taken out of context. You just mentioned the one with Valley High School. I know that was one with, and I know he's your friend, but Benjamin Vasquez. He's just had it with me, and I know he took my comment when I was making it at the graduation for Sigerstrom High School, a commencement graduation. It was my comment, and it's truthfully Valley. Sigerstrom wasn't built when I graduated from Valley, but that was like more my point. It was, that we have these great options now that, I don't know if my mom would have chosen Sigerstrom, because there's a lot of individuals that go to Sigerstrom that are within the boundaries, the neighborhood of Valley, but they choose to go to the Sigerstrom. So it was more on that. It was nothing that I was putting down Valley. That's where I graduated from. I'm proud to be a Falcon. But like you're saying, you have these already have these I guess opposition by individuals that really don't like you, so they're always going to make it a little bit more than what it is. But when it comes to the issue that you were saying about the LGBTQ curriculum, like I'll go back to having the parents, rights. Many of the parents in Santa Ana feel that should be left to the parent to teach. So in my opinion, I don't want, the government telling my son what he should be taught. So I think it should be up to me as a parent. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I believe that every parent should be able to decide if they want to opt in. But the way it is right now, it's an opt out. So it's very sensitive within our community. I know many of our community members here in Santa Ana were very faith-based and religious, and I know a lot of that doesn't go with our biblical principles. So it's not that I'm being disrespectful to the LGBTQ community. It's more of a defending the rights that we have as parents. So for those of us that don't want for that to be taught, we should have that right.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and these are positions that even some of my family members would share, as far as like, no, you're not going to teach him that. But I think there's just mischaracterization, as far as like people can, like I said, people can opt out, but there's not enough to be done to prevent sex education and including being an inclusive society. That's what America's about. You got to be tolerant, and you might not agree with people's political or sexual orientation or religious stances, but we live separation of church and state. So I think that is something to be said about that. But back to the charter school issue, because you've previously been on Inside OC, right, show, really praising Betsy DeVos. So you said she's great. She does a lot for charter schools and so on. But I mean, do you think she's done a good job in the past 3 years fighting for all students, LGBTQ and non-charter students, to have their rights respected as is mandated by the Constitution? And supported public schools as opposed to at the expense supporting charter schools at the expense of public. Do you share still those feelings of praise towards Betsy DeVos?
I think she's doing the best that she can. She's doing the best that she can to try to represent, the broader community of parents, giving those parents, the choices of, what they want regarding their child's education. I like that aspect of her, that she is pro the parents' choice regarding public education. So far, I believe she's doing a good job in her role. I mean, there's some things that sometimes we're not going to agree on things, but I think overall she's been doing a lot of she's been doing good.
Okay, all right, Dylan, maybe we can get into party politics.
Yeah, I mean, this recall cited support for Trump as a reason to recall you in a special election from office. I mean, what do you think about that?
Because you are a Republican, or
correct. And then that's what I was gonna say. It's just by the nature that I'm a Republican. You know, they're going to connect the President Trump with me like there's no tomorrow, because they know that the Latino community, no, some, but not all Latinos are against, President Trump. So, but it's the rhetoric, the political rhetoric that, that exactly what they put in there, that, President Trump wants to deport everyone, that President Trump, so they're linking it to me. So those individuals that have undocumented friends and family members, of course, we are going to take it personally, because I myself have friends and who are undocumented, and I don't want them to be deported. I just feel that we have to find a way to make sure that we have an immigration reform that is just for that is a good immigration reform, that it's going to benefit the people that are here already. But I strongly believe that we need to secure our borders, because that's the only way that we're going to make sure that we can contain individuals that are coming in here who wanted harm. And I'm not talking about the immigrants that are coming here to work. I mean, there are individuals out there that want to harm our country. So we have to make sure that as a country, we have those systems in place that's going to protect the broader citizenry here in the U.S.
Yeah, and your policy stances are not much different from Obama's or Clinton's, for that matter. And I'll never, the fact of the matter is Obama set up the infrastructure that which Trump just kind of took it to the next level. But I mean, in particular, they were identifying your positions around policies when it came to separation of families. I mean, is that something that you currently support as one of the policies beyond, being tough on the border?
When you say separating families, like, you mean
right,
here, the ones who are here and they get
like, there's a policy currently right now where they are separating children from families and like putting them up for adoption or leaving them indefinitely in cages and in other types of detention facilities. Like, children have died under this administration right now because of their tough stances, because they're trying to deter mothers and their children from coming in, so that they're separating them once they cross over. Is that one of the ways that is right to be tough on border when it comes to separating and causing all this trauma to children at the border, as if traveling from El Salvador wasn't enough?
I'm from El Salvador, and I just
you should know best.
Yeah, but I mean, oh yeah, my gosh, yes. So when we came here in 1979, I mean, it took us like 5 days to get here. We came by bus, but I just feel that separating kids from their moms at the borders, no, I don't feel that's humane. I feel that there should be a way that. I believe that there should. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, like, I mean, because like El Salvadorian folks, especially, I mean, lenient policies towards people like yourself allowed for you to have the ability to be here legally. Isn't that something that should be afforded to all folks, like, facing such like crime and gang violence in their countries, to ask for asylum as guaranteed by UN United Nations law? Like, I'm just seeing the dissonance between what you're saying and what Trump is actually advocating for, which by and large you've seen support.
I don't see what I don't agree with is the fact that all of these individuals are coming like via caravan, because what they're doing is they're exposing their family to harm. I know their end goal is for them to come here and make sure that that they arrive here safely, and then that they have an opportunity to provide a better future for their family members. What I would support is something that I believe we should be starting, like with the countries that are allowing their citizens to come and cross the the border, especially from El Salvador. They cross Guatemala, then they go into Mexico, and they have to cross the U.S. border. I think that's very dangerous for their kids. I feel that the United States government should be holding like our government in El Salvador accountable for our citizens, and I believe that they should be they should be working with them to provide a better El Salvador for them than for them to be exposing their kids to harm while they're trying to cross these three borders.
Yes, yes, but at the same time, like people are literally fleeing for their lives. That's why, like, they're not coming just willy nilly. It's like, let's go on like a, like a trip. Like they are exposing themselves to potential danger. And when you see these people like being separated, they're crying. It's like, if you deport me back, I'm going back to die. They're going to kill me. Like people are not doing this just because they think it's fun. Like they're doing this because they're fleeing. So I don't understand how deporting them back to what they're fleeing from is in any way going to help. Perhaps funding El Salvador more, ensuring democracy, but this current deterrent, I just think it's wrong. But I don't want to get stuck too much on this topic.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe we could stay on immigration, but bring it more local for this question. It's about ICE cooperation. And it's basically like we've seen a trend of less and less cooperation with ICE and letting local policy supplant that. I mean, it's not really the local role. And I mean, we had a Republican police chief in the 70s who advocated against cooperating with the INS at that time. So, I mean, what do you feel like? I know maybe two conservative tenets are local control and strong borders. But I mean, which tenant do you fall to on this one?
Like you mean like cooperating with ICE if they want to come into our city to arrest the undocumented?
Yeah, or sharing information about people that live here with ICE through any kind of document, like records or anything.
Well, the only one that I would support them sharing information with ICE is for those very violent criminals. Because I believe that them even being violent criminals, they're not being protective of, I think we're not protecting the residents that we want to protect. So those would be the ones that I would be comfortable in them sharing that information, because anyone that comes here, like, who was not born here, it's a privilege to come here. And I believe that we need to be abiding by the rules of this country. And if anyone becomes like a violent criminal, as taxpayers, I don't think we should be funding them. They should be deported back to the country that they came from. So, and then if anything, then provide help for that family that is, losing the support from this person. But having a violent criminal in your home, I just feel we're putting them in harm's way. So, separating those violent criminals from families who are law-abiding citizens, I'm okay with sharing information like that. But when I hear of, somebody's being deported because they had a traffic ticket, or, it's something that is minimal, in my opinion, I don't think it warrants for them to have a separation with their families. I believe we should be giving them as an opportunity to rectify what the crime that was it that they committed. But the only ones I'm comfortable with violent criminals being deported, yes.
Understand.
Right. On another issue, like around like just Trump and just your in general support of him. So like you recently shared a post about Dr. Fauci saying China didn't need a vaccine, and in that same post saying Dr. Fauci is a fraud. Do you believe he's a fraud? And do you support firing the leading expert in coronavirus in this critical moment?
That was a post of more about, I was asking your thought, the thoughts of the individuals, like what do they think on this? It's interesting. It's interesting times that we're living in. To be honest, I just don't know. And of course, I would say that of course I want to be honest. The thing is that when things happen like that, right now we're living in a world that I couldn't tell you who's on first, who's on second, because things is just evolving. But I just feel that if right now what I saw is China's recovered, and then it kind of makes you wonder. It begs the question in my mind, if they're already recovering without finding the cure for it. It's like, I mean, why are we why are we all in a frenzy? I mean, that's my opinion.
We will be giving heated replies to that Facebook post after the show. But in the meantime, thanks for sharing that. But I want to get to another issue, something that recently happened at City Council, right? Apparently there are a couple articles written about in the Voice of OC You brought up something regarding Measure X. Do you want to talk about what the intent was there?
Yeah, that was to give relief to both the businesses and to our residents who have. We're in Santa Ana. We're the highest taxed here in Orange County. So why can't we, especially with the things that we're purchasing, like toilet paper, all of these essential stuff, we're being taxed on that. So why can't we give a relief? And it's something that I believe could easily be done if there was a political will. But since there isn't, you get all this opposition. But that was my intent behind it, so we can give at least the minimal relief to our residents that are facing this financial crisis. A lot of them have been laid off. A lot of them, their hours have been cut back. So a lot of them are having trouble making ends meet. So it was genuinely to help our residents and our businesses. But everything that I bring up in the city council, and right now it's always twisted, and I always have, according to them, I always have an agenda, political agenda. But everything that a lot of them bring up to, it's all political. Ultimately, it's all political. But since it's always, for the most part, it's 6 against 1. When things that they don't agree with me, it's always 6 against 1. So I'm getting used to it. Being on the minority. But that was the intent. I wasn't trying to be, disrespectful to anyone. It was more having the heart to give this our residents in Santa Ana a break. That's all it was. But as you saw, it just didn't pan out like that. And one thing that we could do if we wanted to as a council, instead of gathering the signatures, that's needed in order for it to be as a referendum in the next election, we could, as a council, put it on the call it for an election if we wanted to, but there's no political will, because they know that a lot of that money has already been compromised and has been allocated to the raises. So because the first thing that happened when it came with Measure X, they gave a lot of raises, $25 million to the police department, and that's already been allotted to that. So they know that if that money goes away, we are going to be, as a city, facing a financial challenge, not because of the services, but because of that added raise that was given. So they're just trying to backpedal on the vote that they made. But we could technically, that's what I'm saying, we all have to work on this together. And if the police department, the police union really wanted to work with us, they could either say, okay, you know what, for right now, let us forego our raise. And then, this way we can give it back to our residents, give it back to them through, right now with rental assistance. Right now, many of our families are facing challenges to pay their rent. So there's a lot that we can do if we wanted to, but unfortunately in that city council, there's no political will.
Okay, well, yeah, I think, Measure X was controversial, to say the least. Definitely the police unions and just the money that the city is spending in general is just out of whack, and people were basically scared into it, saying we need to have this or else we're going to go bankrupt. But we wouldn't need to go bankrupt if we weren't promising money that we didn't have to the police officers association. So that was a problem. But I mean, I want to kind of go into there's a lot of issues and a little bit of time. But
comes with the territory. Another
controversial vote, I guess, this long line of you being, the singular vote or the minority vote is, but in this case was different, was the 2520 North Main Street project, right? So you supported the controversial housing project and voted for it, but many council members switched or looking to switch their votes on it. Are you still in support of that development?
Actually, I put out a press release that after the vote and after when I saw that the the significant gathering was on its way, I had numerous conversations with the developer and trying to see how we can do in order for us, to focus on time and energy on something that's going to be productive for everyone, and that everyone's going to find it like a win-win situation. When I came into the council in 2018, that was like one of the first things that individuals from from Park Santiago wanted to meet with me to talk about. And when it first came to us in February of last year, of 2019, it was a project that was humongous. It was 510 units, I believe, or 517 units. But through conversations with the neighbors in Park Santiago, we were able to talk to them and see, how can we work together, and not me, but with the developer, how all of us could say like this is something that everyone can live with. And unfortunately, it just didn't seem like him bringing it down to 256 was good enough, and then partnering with the Cube. But there were members of Park Santiago that were for the project. So there's more than a lot of people may think, but they were just not comfortable in coming forward because they just didn't want to feel like they just didn't want to come forward. So but when I first started, there was nobody in the community that was for it, but then it changed. So my perspective was, I believe it's a good project for that area. So then that's why I thought, it was a good vote. But then obviously, individuals still didn't feel it was a project, and and I'm happy for them that they spoke up, and then they were able to gather the entire city to come out and support them. And so when that started, that's when I started my conversation with Mr. Ogilnick, and I said, this is something that I would not feel comfortable moving forward, because this is the community is gathering together support to make sure that this neighborhood in specific gets their needs addressed, and also their voices are heard. And I was trying to to broker some stuff, and this is happening right after when I saw that they were gathering the signatures, and that's why he was very supportive of saying, okay, you know what, we're not going to move forward, because even though he believes that he may have a strong case to go before the voters, but by then I was telling him, is like, we need to broker something that is going to be a benefit for everyone, and he has been very supportive of doing the right thing for Santa Ana, and I feel and I've always also had constant contact with some of those leaders in Park Santiago. So now so the community, I know that they're happy that they don't have to go before a vote, because it would have been a lot of time and energy, I would say, wasted, and a lot of resources, because as you know, an election is not cheap.
Yeah, yeah, and to that point, developer money cannot be ignored as far as their influence on local elections, and people that are for this project or against this project definitely that plays a part. I have a lot of thoughts about this. I mean, the unlikely allies in the fight against this, or NIMBYs, for lack of a better term, people that are just against developments in their small communities, period, like full stop, to folks that are against gentrification, which this seems to be one. And kind of tying it into your earlier point about rental assistance, I mean, that's good. People do need that here in Santa Ana, but it feels to me like it's a subsidy on greedy corporate developers that want to maximize their profits at the expense of the communities that they're trying to build in. We're 80% Latino here, and many of the communities here are desperately have wanted in the past just cause eviction, rent control, and a real strong policy like housing opportunity ordinance that makes it so that these folks are having inclusionary affordable housing into these projects. But that seems to be devoid of that conversation. But I mean, I know where you stand on that, and you've made it that clear. But I guess I'm just wondering, like, what are your feelings about just rent control and affordable housing and the housing opportunity ordinance in general? Is that, in particular, the housing opportunity ordinance, do you support that currently?
The housing, yes, definitely, I do.
Okay.
And
what about rent control?
The rent control, I think that's something that has to be a conversation that we have to have with the property owner, because as as a property owner, in my opinion, is like, I invested so much money into acquiring this property. I would hope that I would get a good return on my investment. But like you were saying, is like, what is the cap that will make that? What, in order for me to make profit on my end, but not really burning the, I would say, the renter. So there has to be that middle ground, and those are the conversations that we should be having. I don't believe in imposing rent control on someone that, without having a conversation at all. I think that it should be, for me, it should be more a one-on-one discussion with the property owner and the tenant, because I don't like anything I've always opposed anything that's across the board, because I don't think one size fits all. I feel that should be something that should be negotiated.
Yeah, we could talk a whole bunch about this, but don't have, unfortunately, time. But I mean, again, going back to special interest, the amount of power and influence that realtor and landlord associations have over decisions that you could potentially make makes it so that even if you personally were like open to the idea, which to me, it kind of sounds like you would be at least open to the conversation, but then getting into like the compromise about not screwing over the small bit landlord owner, but really going after these corporate landlords that are buying up all this property and then just raising their prices, and with this then the process of gentrification. I mean, I think we can ideally, hopefully, find some kind of common ground in that, but it seems like Santana is going in the wrong direction, at least in my view, when it comes to really emphasizing affordable housing and creating mechanisms to prevent displacement of our communities, that many of them are overwhelmingly in support of some type of rent control or rent stabilization, whatever you want to call it. So, and it would seem then to your call to, which we'll get into, that you're wanting to be a mayor of Santana, it would seem that something that overwhelmingly is supported by the citizens and residents of Santana should be something that you should be at least open to the conversation of, and hopefully support it.
And I am. And one thing is, like, I always ask is like, define to me, like, what is affordable here in Orange County? I mean, especially Santana, is like, what would you consider the cap of what's affordable? And right now it's sad, unless we have a subsidy from either the city or from other government entities, we're not going to be able to meet that need for a lot of the residents that live here. So I'd be willing to have those conversations, because I would like to find also, like, what would be the cap that we would consider affordable. Right now, it's just so expensive all over California, but it doesn't help either that in order for them to build a project, a lot of, and this is when it comes into like the project labor agreements, they're so expensive, even for whoever wants to develop something. It just becomes their cost to building anything is 2 or 3 times the amount. So how can you, so they're losing on that. So instead of, having that type of cost going into building, why can't we have that cost so we can save for those individuals, so we can subsidize their housing?
I understand that. And, PLAs, project labor agreements, are one way of being able to make sure that that good union jobs are guaranteed, when doing these projects. I can't see us really being in a place where we got to feel bad for developers. They're making millions. They're not struggling, and also because with subsidies and tax rates that we try to welcome people to Santana. Like, people want to build here. There's no shortage of people that want to come here and build, but it shouldn't have to come at the expense of the residents of that community.
And I agree with you. We shouldn't. We should never. So maybe we could start a committee to get that going.
Yeah, let's get those committees back.
Oh my God, no more committees. Yeah.
Oh no, that's another topic.
Yeah, no,
but all joking aside, no, I'm definitely, like, I agree with you. I don't think we should be anything at the expense of our residents. We should never be sacrificing that.
Yeah, because it's what is affordable, and there's good ways and not so good ways to go about doing it, because affordable is like progressive. It doesn't mean anything until you attach numbers and things to it. So it'd be interesting to see like how your policies play out as far as, addressing some of these serious issues like homelessness and substandard housing. And that's number one, especially in a world post-coronavirus. Santana communities, many of which are undocumented, are going to be struggling even more. I guess tied to that, like what do you feel about Santana's sanctuary city policy that protects folks that are constantly facing these rising rents and constantly living under the fear of potentially being deported? Is that something that you think that is a good thing for Santana?
What I don't agree with is individuals who are working and contributing to our our community and into our economy. I believe we should be protecting them. I don't think anyone should be living in fear. Someone who wants to give a better future for their family. I don't. So it just goes back to the other, to the other issue that we're talking about. The only ones that I believe should be sent out and deported are the violent criminals. The other ones, I feel that we should be working with them. But I feel like this whole sanctuary city issue or conversation, it just doesn't really talk about letting like the violent criminals out and really prosecuting them and really leaving here the ones who really want to make a better future for their families and they're law-abiding residents. I'll protect them. I'll be out there and say, you can't take them. They're trying to do the best they can for their families. But I just feel like the whole sanctuary city, I guess, ordinance should be revised to say, the very violent criminals should be deported. And I do support that. They should be deported.
So do you also support building trades? You mentioned project labor agreements. Those are, very much the bread and butter of building trades. The carpenters, the electricians, all these people that, are working good jobs, many of which live in Santana or in the surrounding areas. I guess, are the trades in general, whether building trades or, education trades or others, you support their right to organize and unionize and fight for what they feel is necessary for their well-beings and those of their family?
I support the worker. I support the the families. What I'm against is the public employee unions, their leadership. I believe that they have no place for them to be dictating on how our policies should be implemented or policies that should be coming before us as a council. I support the trades, but I both the union ones, and then there's also some that are non-union. So I believe everyone should have an opportunity to have to be able to compete. And I just feel when it comes to PLAs, giving the ones who are private, business owners, or they have their own, I would say like their own trade, they're not giving that opportunity. So we're in a way stomping on the little people because we're not giving them an opportunity to have, I would say, an opportunity for them to be part of a project that comes before a council or a school board. So like I was saying, it's mostly the leadership, and I believe it's how they make an influence on, on politics. And unfortunately they do. They have a lot of influence. Even if you look at, the 460s that, when city council races are happening, you see a lot of them donating tens of thousands of dollars to candidates that are supporting them. And then those that, according to them, that they may not support the union, they have these, they'll spend money in the independent expenditures. So they're in a way a special interest. So still unions shouldn't be part of anything, but I support the worker.
Yeah, but at the same time, at least in the particular when it comes to donating, one thing is the POA and their union and how they work. And a whole lot of the way is like how, you know, smaller trade unions fight back and try to get some kind of rights or support for the policies of their membership, because when it comes down to it, like these are our family people that live here, but it just seems challenging to say that, like, because I mean, people are donating to elections. I mean, we can look at people that have donated to your elections in the past, right? A lot of money from the charter schools, right? Where is that money coming from? And and also, like, I mean, I believe Orange County Associates, a property management firm, donated to your campaign as well, right? So these people have money and have some sort of vested interest in getting you to fight this recall and to get you to stay on for all sorts of reasons, right? So,
well, the reason is because this is it wasn't a recall that was brought in by the people. This is a case that it's just one person that wants to have a power grab of city council.
Fair enough, but then your mayor race is going to be another cycle of
that'll be something
funds.
Yeah, but this recall is just uncalled for, and I believe, if he really cared about the city, Jerry Serrano could have waited till November. As you know, now with the redistricting, Ward 6 became Ward 1. I would still have to campaign in November if I wanted to run for city council again. So it's something that, we could have waited. He knew I was running for mayor, so it's just for him trying to prove a point. So, if it was brought up by residents that really were really upset with me because of a vote that I took and that really went against them, then I'll be a big girl and I say, no, yeah, I messed up. It was me. And if I wouldn't be fighting it as much as I am, because it's all about corruption, and it's about Jerry and the POA being corrupt, and they're trying to control what's happening at City Hall.
So I think we've talked maybe to some other councilmen members and other people in the community. Maybe they've said, no, they don't really have that much influence. It's just maybe a little. I mean, how would you respond to people underplaying their influence?
The POA influence?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, they have a lot of influence. Ever since I got on that council, the first thing that they wanted to do was get rid of the former city manager. What was his name? Raul Godinez. Mm-hmm. And that was their number one thing. And as you saw, they got rid of him. I was the only one that voted against it. That's because, Raul Godinez, when he was campaigning against when he was campaigning for Measure X, one of the things that I was told is that he was telling them that it was not going to be for raises. And of course, that's what they wanted. So the POA, helped, with a yes on Measure X. And it happened that they put a lot of money into it because they knew what they were going to get. And even for us to even get an endorsement from them, their question was, do you believe that they should be compensated? Well, compensated more. And I'm just like, I believe that our police department are compensated well. They were like the third highest paid in the county. They were okay. And they get pretty much good money when it comes to overtime. So I just felt that this is all about the POA. They had so much influence. They were able to get rid of our former chief Rojas. Why? Because when in 2016 they campaigned to get council members in there, and that was their first call to order. They needed to get rid of Rojas. And then there's the deposition, with his case, and even Sarmiento said that this was more of a whatchamacallit. He said from the POA that they were trying to buy out what they were trying to do. So the POA has had a lot of influence, especially with Jerry. Jerry is he is bad. He's bad for the union. Jerry Serrano is making Santa Ana look bad. He's giving the officers a bad name. And the rank and file, they're not as bad as how Jerry's behavior is portraying them out in our community. I just feel Jerry is the one that it's making this problem even worse, and he's the reason why a lot of the council members are on that dais, because they poured so much money into their races. So yeah, definitely, they have a lot of influence on what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, that also led to the firing of Dave Cavazos around the same time as Rojas. To get to Rojas, Cavazos had to go. And I mean, that was even the start of a precedent of paying our city manager an insane amount of money, and to the point, and they get fired so much that they have to put clauses in their contract to get extra money for when it does happen. So what's your confidence that we'll keep our current city manager for a while?
I'm hoping that she'll stay for a while. She's doing, in my opinion, she's doing a very good job. She's very fair. She works with all of us. She does the best that she can with what the authority that she's given. Right now, she's acting a lot of on executive orders, and she's doing a good job. I believe she'll stay for a very long time because she's had experience and she's able to deal with individuals like Jerry Serrano. Jerry is he thinks he controls the city. I mean, he has this thing saying that I've intervened with civil hiring of somebody. So one thing I want to ask him is for him to tell me in person, who are you talking about? Because if it's not somebody that is part of the police department, he has no business knowing what my conversations with the city manager or HR director should be.
All right. I want to jump into this Jerry Serrano bashing too. All right, like let me get into
yeah,
it.
Give me some space.
Geez, I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't agree with you on, Councilwoman Iglesias, but I definitely share in the loathing of Jerry Serrano. I think he's a corrupt cop. He gives a bad name to the good, police officers that might be out there that are trying to do good and stuff. But this blue line and corruption that got them ousted Rojas, who was trying to hold bad cops accountable. And all of the things that they've been doing just shows how bad it can get when any special interest, but in particular Santana, has so much influence over the budget and has the ability to flood thousands of dollars into small city council races and such. So that is definitely problematic. You won't hear any disagreement on that. I mean, I'm interested also in his reckless drunk driving behavior that for whatever reason he was not giving a breathalyzer to, but any of us would have been held accountable for. But because he's a police officer, he's above the law. That's unconstitutional.
I think he pulled some Jedi mind tricks in that story. He's
you
like,
do not want to breathalyze.
I don't need a test. I'm too dangerous to take a blood sample. He just walked right out of the jail. It's crazy.
Yeah, but they've been at it for a while, in different ways. The jail contract with ICE was another one. I mean, it's something that we definitely didn't want. Hopefully, you stand against getting that started again, Councilwoman, because it's definitely a bad way to invest in our communities by trying to subsidize it through the suffering that is the immigration detention center system. But yeah,
I think I spoke against that when I was on the school board. I went before the council.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. So look, we're running a little low on time here, but maybe I can give you the floor to give a closing message to everyone.
Yeah. More than anything, I really want to hear why the voters of Santana should support you. There's I believe Vin Sarmiento, who's a council member, Vin Sarmiento, a council member Jose Solorio, and former councilwoman, current prosecutor Claudia Alvarez, right? So they are jumping out, and it's going to be a four-horse race, as it will. And people are going to be able to hopefully have debates with all of you all there, so that as opposed to Pulido, who never did. I think it's a very important race coming up. But I mean, first of all, why should people vote against the recall, and why should they vote for you for mayor? Of Santana, city of 80% Latinos.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to have this dialogue with you. I just want to reach out to the Santana voters just to let them know that this recall is a recall that is founded on lies, and it's something that is more of a bullying tactic from a very strong special interest individual, which is Jerry Serrano, and what he wants is just to make sure that he knows that the people know that he is the one that's in control of City Hall. So if my thing, and even my candidate statement says, if you support corruption and greed at City Hall, then vote for the recall. But if not, then vote for me, because I am the one that is going to call out Jerry Serrano when he's oversteps his boundaries. I am the one that's going to be looking out for you when it comes for your tax paying. As a taxpayer, I'll protect you, and I'll be the one that will be there for you as a resident from Santa Ana, helping you with what what the issues that are more important to you. Right now, it's what we need at City Hall is transparency and accountability, and that's something that has been lacking, as far as I know, at City Hall. But my last year and a half at the City Hall, I've seen a lot of corruption, more based on the special interest. So vote against the recall, vote against Jerry Serrano, because he is a bad person for our community. Another thing is, for the mayor race, that won't be till after this the recall in May. But what I'm asking individuals is, for us to give me that opportunity to continue serving you, because I've been somebody that's always open, transparent, try to do the best that I can for the residents of Santa Ana, bringing in consensus, with individuals that have a vested interest in Santa Ana. So what I ask is that you, as a voter, be informed on why you're voting, even though I know sometimes we may not agree on everything, but just focus on the 80% of the things that we can focus on and work together. And those are the conversations that I would like to have with individuals. If we can agree to disagree, but let's be respectful about it. And my heart's out to the community of Santa Ana. I have so much respect for you all, and I'm hoping that we're able to have a better collaboration and a better relationship. That's why I want to thank you, because you have brought me to I would say an environment that usually I'm not able to get into, with individuals that may think I'm different. The only thing that I may be different with a lot of individuals is my political party affiliation. But one thing I tell them is, don't let political rhetoric blind your vote, because vote on the person that's going to represent your needs, and those are the vote on the person that's going to represent you the best. And in my opinion, I have a heart for Santa Ana. I believe I'm the best representative for Ward 6. So vote no on this recall, and you have my commitment that I'm going to be working harder for you, and then I'm going to be able to bring you into conversation that you all should be part of. So thank you.
Well, there it is. You heard it, Councilwoman Cecilia Iglesias. Once again, thank you for having the courage to step out of your comfort zone. I'll give it up to anybody that's willing, to come out on the show and share these things. And as you mentioned, we're not going to agree on a lot of things. And personally, I'm perturbed by the Trump support in this moment, but at the same time, I think what you mentioned there as far as the POA and what's behind this is important for folks to understand. But at the same time, people are going to make their own choices on May 19th, right? So that's going to be the day where folks can be able to cast their vote and say yes on the recall or no on the recall. But
no on the recall.
Right. They'll make their choice, and then what you said here will, bring, them to a better clarity about their choice, and so on and so forth. So, needless to say, Ceci Iglesias is here to say whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, and just want to let everyone know there will be a debate next week on a Wednesday, 6 p.m. You can check our channel again for the link, but it will be regarding the recall, the two-part. Where first we're still trying to find someone who will actually represent the yes on the recall position. So far, no one has been willing to. I don't know what that tells you, but you can hear a debate on the recall and the candidates that are running for that seat.
Okay,
Stay
we'll share
tuned.
that. Stay tuned, hosted by Dylan Thompson. Well, thanks
Woo!
again, Councilwoman Iglesias, and yeah,
Okay, thank you.
may the best person win.
Okay, good night. God
Thank
bless
you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
That was our interview
Woo!
with. How you doing, Dylan?
We should do that more. You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to drink some more beer.
Whew.
These nerves
That was good.
are killing me.
Yeah. I thought I should have come into the studio to hold you back at a certain moment. Yeah. No, it was good. We touched on things. So
I think it's important to understand that we need some sage for real. Sometimes like our national politics when it comes to abortion and gay rights and stuff, like those are very important, and that we should, and the right to choose for women, etc. But when it comes to the local, like on the local city council, those issues are important, and in the party that they subscribe to, but just the economic issues of rent control, of supporting undocumented folks. These are not outside of the realm of a Republican to support. And this is me not saying vote for or endorsing Ceci in any way. I'm just saying, we had a Republican mayor in Anaheim, the name of Tom Tate, that there's very much on the right side of many things. On the local level, party politics doesn't matter to me as much as the rhetoric around issues like rent control and protecting our immigrant community, especially in Santana. You have to support our community here, many of which are undocumented, many of which are going to be jobless and really struggling because we're not getting stimulus packages to those communities. Mm-hmm. So what is the next mayor after 20 years of Don Papi Pulido? Man,
hopefully it's a change,
Yeah, and there's a lot of council seats up, right? Isn't it 4 altogether or 5?
Not exactly sure, but
yeah,
it should be good.
Okay, how you feeling, Dylan? You spent? Done?
No, I'm good.
Are you reading the comments as fast as
sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm just like, yeah, Jose, yeah, it's good.
No, stop it.
Yeah. No, the show's not even over, man.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be over. We're done.
It will be.
I'm done with you.
No, but
ignore me.
No, it is funny because we have some extreme differences with Ceci. One's political differences that could not probably be resolved in several years of conversations.
Right.
So I'm glad, you're good. I'm the good cop, you're a bad cop, and we touched on some issues. But yeah, there was some agreement here, and just touching on a point you made earlier, like the people that did the housing first in Utah were Republican. The guy that was driving that, the people who are doing the UBI in these different countries in Europe, that's a conservative thing they're doing over there. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And at least try to hear people out and see where you have some common ground, and then bitterly discuss the other issues for years to come.
Yeah, this is crazy times when you have Trump basically endorsing a temporary UBI, out-lefting in a lot of ways. The Joe Biden on certain topics,
or that Pelosi thought that the vaccine should be affordable. Yeah. It's like, come on. Why is Trump out-lefting you dumbasses? He's smart. For this part, for what, there's many different intelligences, right? And I don't know how you classify his, but it's not traditionally thought of as intelligent. But I think he's gonna be like a wartime president. And either people are gonna look at his fumbling of this whole thing and be like, oh, he was so great, he was so presidential, just like when he bombed the Syria that one time. It was the only 2 times he's been presidential.
Yeah, if nothing changes from now, Trump is going to be president for another 4 years. you know, and you know what, like maybe we deserve that. And you know what, like I'm not into the fear base, like, but if we elect Trump we're gonna die, or if we elect Biden then we're gonna die, you know. It's like we're gonna survive regardless of what the F happens. Oh, I can cuss now, but regardless of what the fuck happens, homie. So you know, we're resistance, we're resistant in our resistance. We're resilient. We're going to continue to fight because, you know, we've been in this fight now for 3 years under Trump and things have gone bad, but they've been bad, man. And we need to desperately wake the F up, you know, all together. So hopefully coronavirus was that. But I did see a message from the person that's running for Cecilia Iglesias' seat, Ty Viet Fan, wants to be on the show. So yeah, like
right.
Reach out. We'll definitely connect and see how we can get you and other folks on the show. You know, it's important to understand that you know, we just this platform of reporting and interviewing is open to folks, and doesn't mean that because we have them on the show we're trying to normalize them. Quite the contrary, we're trying to, you know, have an honest and frank and real conversation about these issues that matter. So, you know, these conversations have to continue, you know, because they do. You talk with, you know, your Republican uncles and aunts and family members, you know, that are backwards on all sorts of issues, but we just have to kind of lend some of that onwards and fight hard for the things that we do propose as much as we fight for the things that we oppose. So I'm fighting just as hard against Trump as I am fighting for, you know, Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, $15 minimum wage, national rent control, right? Racial and economic justice, immigration, you know, reform, abolishing ICE. I mean, the list goes on, right? So
big time.
But yeah, I want to thank all the people that listened to us for the first time. So we have our lovely setup for the foreseeable future under the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then this is much easier for us to hopefully get some more people on the show.
Oh yeah,
we can have more than
we can go international, man.
We can even go viral.
Oh, don't say that. That's way too soon.
So please like our page, follow us, share this as this interview. I think it's important for the voters of Santana to, you know, to make an educated, you know, choice. You know, Ceci loves choice, right? So
should we get
get choice?
Should we get Jerry Serrano on here?
Oh shoot!
I mean,
damn.
In the spirit of fairness,
and
in the spirit of inviting a diverse array of guests.
I don't know if I could hold back.
Come at me! Oh.
Hey, homie, yeah. we got a problem. What?
Just say you can't go through the webcam.
Don't make me take my shirt off, homie. I'll lift this on. I take my.
Oh man, don't even show your sacred symbol, man. Don't even.
Okay, that's enough for that. All right. So, final comments. Good, Dylan, sir.
Yeah. Good times, and looking forward to the next show. Yeah.
Thai like Thailand, she says. All right, got it. Yeah. Good times. Looking forward to the next show. All right. I want to thank audio video engineer Edgar Silva for holding it down at Iron Lion Media, Iron Lion Studios. Iron Lion. Yeah. It's happening.
Yeah. We need to. Yeah, we need to get a sound clip for that for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope everybody's staying safe in this moment. Yep. You know, use social distancing.
Big time.
Don't hoard. Don't be an asshole. Say hi to people as you walk by them and cross the street. Yeah, just overall understand that we are going to get through this together, and hopefully we'll come out a better, more just, more equitable, more harmonious society, because we desperately need that. It's only the beginning of what's going to be many more crises to come. So,
big time.
Yeah, keep the movement alive, fighting for the real stuff, progressive values, principles, issues, and conversations that allow us to educate people from all educational levels on the issues that desperately matter, and hopefully prop up candidates that support those issues and will fight for them and not the special interests. Bye.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah,
Boom.
so we're on every Monday, 9 p.m. for the most part. So, and please check out our past shows where we had all sorts of awesome guests like Jose Moreno and local grassroots leaders, progressive, and all sorts of people fighting on the front lines or just in the mix. Yeah, so shout out to my
Ben.
outed friend Ben Vasquez.
Oh yeah, you got
yeah.
called. Our #1 fan got called out in the show by the guest.
The friend, it's like, hey man, don't talk about Don Benjamin like that.
You can't be talking about Don Benjamin like that.
He makes delicious enchiladas, which are God's gift to earth in these quarantine times.
God bless his
Right.
soul.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. We will be sharing our next guest on this. Please, again, like us, follow us, share this video, tell all your friends about It's Happening show. #1 rated online Facebook show in Orange County.
In the world.
Voted by no one.
According to Jose's mom. And that's
yeah, all right. So
that's a tall order.
Peace,
love,
power,
and wisdom,
solidarity, and Bernie now, revolution forever.
I took off my bumper sticker.
From Dylan Thompson, who I hate so much right now. But I love him like a brother. And Jose Gloria, all of us here on It's Happening family, we are signing.
It's happening! Woo!
No es libertad, lo que tú vives es vulgar. Ser un esclavo sin descansar mientras que el burgués se aprovecha de tus labores. Hay que luchar para vencer este sistema capital. Hay que levantar proletarios y la guerra popular. Hay que desarrollar nuestra conciencia para podernos gobernar. Hay que levantar los que han caído, víctimas de un sistema perdido. Démonos contra el imperialismo, alza los puños para lograr el socialismo. Cegado de realidad para no ver lo que es verdad. Te han engañado, no es libertad, lo que tú vives es vulgar. Ser un esclavo sin descansar mientras que el burgués se aprovecha de tus labores. Hay que luchar para vencer este sistema capital.